this evening is all about introducing you to things, flying through things. It's also about celebrating things that happen around us. So for the next bit, the Pratchett Prize, I would like to introduce James Hadley. James is the Usher Assistant Professor in Literary Translation, Director of the College's MPhil in Literary Translation, and he will explain the Usher Prize. James Hadley, somewhere out there in the darkness. Great. Yep.
Hello. So I'm James, and Trinity has a close relationship with Terry Pratchett because he didn't go to university, but his agent, the person who discovered him, and his first editor, his first publisher, was an alumnus of Trinity. So at some point he was made an honorary teaching fellow at the School of English here, and then he started donating books to the college, and now we have a massive collection of about 3,000 books, all donated by the Pratchett estate. So that's at least one of his books in every language that's ever been translated into, which is over 40 languages by now. And so Terry Pratchett, I don't really need to introduce him, I hope, but he's a hugely famous author of science fiction, comic science fiction, satirical science fiction. And he was, at one point, he thought that he'd had a stroke, and then it turned out that he had a rare form of Alzheimer's disease. And when he had this diagnosis, he was shocked at how little it was known about, how little people in the general public knew what Alzheimer's disease is and what it actually means to have a diagnosis like this. And he was also disappointed at the amount of research, the amount of funding that was going towards Alzheimer's disease compared to things like cancer. He always said it doesn't mean that cancer doesn't deserve funding, but Alzheimer's and dementia generally is going to affect so many of us. Why is the amount of funding so little? So when he got his diagnosis, he told this story of having a conversation with his assistant, Rob Wilkins, and Rob said, okay, so who do we tell about this? How do we manage this situation? And Pratchett just said, we tell everybody. We tell everybody, because his philosophy was actually, if we just keep not talking about this thing, then we perpetuate the problem. So we have taken on the Pratchett Project here at Trinity. We've taken on this mantle. Now that Pratchett himself can't do it anymore, we try and bring awareness in the way that we can. We try and make it so that people who are doing creative things with people who are living with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia, people who are making other people's lives better, we can shine a spotlight on them, and then hopefully we can help, as Pratchett said, get this thing out of our hair. So this is only the second year that we've done this, and last year we were delighted to award the prize to an amazing project which had, I don't want to step on the toes of the next speaker. Actually, Natasha, are you here somewhere? Please. So last year we awarded it to this project which Natasha is about to introduce, and she was just telling me outside that the prize has made a big difference to you, hasn't it?
Massive, yeah.
Can I get you to do the introducing?
Absolutely,
so
no problem. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me here today to talk about this project. I think I have, is this, oh, here we go. Here's a little clicker. So the project, my name's Natasha Duffy, and I was the creative producer of this project, which was called An Old Song Half Forgotten. And it has evolved from a theatre project to both a theatre project and a documentary project now. So it's a play and a documentary now that is exploring memory and identity through theatre and music and song. And I'll just give you a tiny bit of a background for those that are new to the project. So it started off with Bryan Murray, who is an actor, being part of a show called Halcyon Days with a writer called Deirdre Kinahan. And when he was rehearsing for this play, that's when he started to discover issues with his memory. He was always able to read a script and remember it really, really fast, and this started to change. And eventually he had to give up actually being on stage and being on the show. So Bryan has been an actor since he was 21 years of age, and he started out in the Abbey Theatre. And this was devastating to him, that the idea that he might not return to stage again. This was his life. And through chatting to Deirdre and discussing it with his peers, they said, we're literally not going to let that happen, because you're an extraordinary artist and performer, and actually it's a disservice to the artistic community for us not to be able to do this with you. So that's where An Old Song Half Forgotten started from. Deirdre then came to me and Sofft Productions and said, guys, would you produce this? This was our first foray into the theatre world, and we just said yes immediately. And it ended up being a co-production with the Abbey Theatre and running on stage for 3 weeks in 2023. So basically, the show itself was a huge success, but in order to get it to that place, we had to break all the rules, So we had to forget what it was to make theatre in a particular way, forget what it was to actually write a script in a particular way, how you rehearse, how you do different things, in order to facilitate this artist living with Alzheimer's. And what I always say is the result of that is this beautiful, robust piece of art. And it makes me think that actually supporting projects like this, it benefits the whole community. So the project now has, as I said, evolved. It's evolved now into an exploration of not just Bryan, but also his carer, Una Crawford O'Brien, who is also an artist and also an actor. And we have, since the play finished, we've followed their lives and what's happened since the play finished. So it kind of revisits their lives and careers, and we see the changes over the period of time. So it's a longitudinal project now. So the original stage play brought together a cast of older and younger actors. We eventually made it happen through Bryan having an in-ear on stage, and while he was rehearsing for the play, we had a younger actor watch him, learn how he was rehearsing, learn how he was developing the character, the cadence, so that when he went in and he was starting anew every night, that the younger actor was feeding exactly what he had done during rehearsals back to him, and then he was on stage doing an incredible performance each night. So the documentary follows that through. There's a lot of archive footage of the making of the play, so you get to actually see how this was created through this documentary piece. So it's now a kind of hybrid cross-disciplinary work. So I'd like to just talk a little bit. The project, and in particular Bryan Murray and Deirdre Kinahan, won the Pratchett Prize last year, and it gave us massive momentum to return to the project. As I said, we were just trying to stick cameras on things to document it and just archive this thing. But thanks to the GBHI, we received development money to actually get access to scientists to talk about what was happening, to understand what was happening with this kind of emotional memory, muscle memory thing with the actor and the artist. And we got this massive insight into like episodic memory, emotional memory, and how this was really influencing what the play did. And since then, there's been a lot of momentum, and it's been really extraordinary to see. So with the support of the development funding, we've been able to organise all the existing footage so far and log a lot of the archive that we were able to get over the period of time we were making the play. We've now got the support from Screen Ireland, and we've also had support from Dublin City Arts Office and Meath Arts Office to continue the development of it. We've been able to build a trailer, which we've been able to go out to like other funding bodies who are now supporting it, as well as broadcast partners. Most importantly, we've actually had the time and space to deepen our relationship with Una and Bryan, and to allow for a more kind of sensitive, evolving kind of documentary that allows us to, I suppose, like any documentary filmmaker will say, like, it's actually more about relationship than it is about the film. So the documentary is now more nuanced, reflective and emotionally rich than ever before. So next, what's next? 5-year plan. We're going to continue filming with Bryan and Una as it unfolds over time. We want to conduct interviews with all the cast and creative team. We're going to follow the intersections between art, ageing, memory and care. And our aim now is to create a long-term, evolving documentary that offers a rare, longitudinal portrait of Alzheimer's, performance and the human condition. So I just want to say thanks to all of the support from GBHI and the Pratchett Prize, and watch this space. Thanks so much.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much, Natasha. So that brings us to this year's winners. Again, we wanted to put a spotlight on someone who's making a huge difference. So I'm delighted to welcome the Lord Mayor, Emma Blaine, to actually make the award. Please.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure today to be here today, and a particular pleasure of mine as one of my priorities that I outlined when I was elected Lord Mayor of Dublin was to increase awareness of dementia in our city and to make our city more dementia inclusive. And as Terry Pratchett would have said, to keep talking about it, which is what I've tried to do in the last 6 months since I've been elected. And I'm particularly pleased to see Natasha's project from last year and how that's evolved. Bryan and Una have become friends of mine over my term, and just a couple of weeks ago I awarded both of them a very special Lord Mayor's Award for 2025 for their contribution to dementia awareness and all the work that they've done on stage and screen, and in bringing that conversation into our homes and into our living rooms. But back to today. And as I said, it's a great pleasure to be here for the second award of the Pratchett Prize. And I just want to start by thanking Professor James Hadley, the Director of the Trinity Centre for Literary and Cultural Translation, and Professor Brian Lawler of the Global Brain Health Institute, whose initiative this is. And of course, Rob Wilkins, Manager of the Pratchett Literary Estate, whose support makes this possible. Inspired by the life and work of author Terry Pratchett, this award, administered by the Trinity Centre for Literary and Cultural Translation, acknowledges the contribution of a scientist, artist, activist or person living with the condition who collaboratively or individually works to reduce the impact of Alzheimer's disease. The prize is an honorary award and cements the strong and growing importance of neuroscience and brain health to the Pratchett Project, a Trinity research initiative drawing together experts from the fields of literary studies, digital humanities, translation studies, library studies, theatre studies, neuroscience and psychiatry, who are all undertaking research on Pratchett's life and work. Representatives from these various fields together make up, to borrow a Pratchett phrase, the adjudicating wizards. This year, the second year of the prize, they've chosen to award the Pratchett Prize for 2025 to Fiona Flavin and Sinead Gallivan for Singing for the Brain. Singing for the Brain was founded by Fiona Flavin and first piloted by the Crystal Project Mallow in 2015. Fiona remains its founding director, and Sinead is project lead since 2025, responsible for supporting the existing Singing for the Brain groups and assisting new groups in getting started. Its supporters recognise the importance of social connection, particularly for those facing challenges such as dementia. Singing for the Brain provides a welcoming and supportive environment where everyone, regardless of their abilities or health condition, can enjoy the benefits of group singing in a fun and friendly environment. They also value the vital role that carers and family members play in supporting individuals with cognitive or health conditions. Singing for the Brain offers a space where carers and loved ones can feel supported, understood and encouraged, helping them to stay connected and to others facing similar challenges. In awarding the prize, the adjudication wizards recognised the creativity, imagination, wit and resilience behind starting and sustaining this project. They admired the project's ability to bring creativity with health benefits for people living with a diagnosis of Alzheimer's and their carers to both urban and rural communities. They look forward to its continued success and its national expansion. So without further ado, I'm very pleased to present the Pratchett Prize to Fiona Flavin and Sinead Gallivan of Singing for the Brain. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, don't run away. So thank you so much. Could I ask you to introduce the project, your project, in a little more detail for everybody?
Yes,
thank you.
Of course. Good afternoon. Hi, everybody. My name is Fiona. I'm the founding director of Singing for the Brain. It's a project that started 10 years ago when I was asked through a colleague to facilitate a music session in a community health centre in Mallow in County Cork. And I had a background in singing, of course, once professional singing and choral singing. And so the occupational therapist who asked me, she was part of the team of the North Cork Dementia Alliance. She kind of just anecdotally said, you might have an interest in this. Would you come along? And so I met the group and I said, okay, let's try this singing thing here and see how it goes. And from there, we have come on leaps and bounds in 10 years, and I've learned things that I wouldn't even have the time to go into today. I suppose I kind of married two parts of my own background and training, that of a professional singer and understanding all the benefits of singing for you physically, and then that of the benefits of group singing, which was my happy place. When the stress of solo performance used to get to me, it was group singing that I went to for relief and for joy and for that social connection. So I thought, I think this could really work in this space. And then from there, of course, began to learn more about dementia and understanding working with groups who live with dementia. So that's how it started many, many moons ago. And we've expanded across Cork City and County with more and more groups coming on all the time. I'm very lucky to work with a team in Cork in the Community Work Department, which Sinead, of course, is part of, without whom we wouldn't be where we are today. So I'm thrilled, to be recognised in the name of Sir Terry Pratchett, whose compassion and imagination has just touched too many, how many people? How could we count? Is really such a privilege. I accept this, of course, also alongside the participants, the families, the carers, the volunteers, everybody involved in Sing for the Brain. I know I'm preaching to the converted here, but when people come into the room, those barriers dissolve immediately. That's what the creative arts can do. That's what music can do. And I think we need to keep advocating and shouting from the rooftops for this important work. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone at the Trinity Centre, the Pratchett Project, everyone at Creative Brain Week. I'm so pleased to be here today and to speak at this opening ceremony. What an honour. And I think that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Congratulations.
much. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And please come again next year. We'll see who we award it to again. Thank you.
Thank you, James.